It happens all the time, so let's just go ahead and address this. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. Hi, I'm Scoot, and welcome to the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. If you haven't become a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe. It's absolutely free, and we'll give you a notice every time we post something. So, on a radio show today on WWL, it has happened again. Obviously, somebody has put something on conservative social media, and maybe it's even Fox News. But conservatives will I'm sure progressives do this as well, but, we're talking about this right now. Many conservatives, not all conservatives, there are a hell of a lot of conservatives that are pro-choice. Let's be clear about that. There's even a group, Catholics for Choice. So, if you're not part of this group, I'm not talking about you, but if you're part of the group of conservatives that looks for talking points, you're looking for that phrase, that one thing to say. You're looking for somebody to hand that to you so you can attack liberals, or in my case, perceived liberals, with the talking point. This is the group that I'm addressing here. And for those of you who are dealing with people like this in your life, in your family, your friends at office or wherever, I want to maybe assist you in helping you come up with an answer to a question. But this came up on the radio talk show. It's come up actually the last couple of days, so I know it's something that's hit social media. Basically, people are saying now that if I care about freedom to choose when it comes to somebody's body, and as I've mentioned, I'm pro-life and pro-choice, and that's possible. I don't like the idea of abortion, but I don't think it's my job to tell a woman what she can do with her body if some guy impregnates her and, walks away from her. Yeah, everybody should be a little more careful with their sex life, but that'll be a topic for another video. So, I am very much in favor of right to choose. So, if I am right now arguing in this renewed Roe v. Wade debate, this new abortion rights debate, if I am for a person's right to choose when it comes to their body, then where was I when it came to the COVID-19 vaccine mandates? Do you see the point that they're trying to make? They're trying to say, well, if you're for a woman's right to choose, then you should be for my right to choose not to get a vaccination. Who forced you to get a vaccination? I mean, this is a superficial talking point that's being used now to attack anybody who is questioning overturning Roe v. Wade. And there's another aspect of it. Let me make a note of this to remember this. There's another aspect of overturning Roe v. Wade that is also coming up, and people are trying to disguise the real issue. It's so typical of what happens. But I love the fact that we have the freedom to talk about this, and you can comment, and I'll come back and comment on some of your comments. So here's the basic issue. I'm for right to choose when it comes to a person's body. I'm for right to choose when it comes to the vaccine mandate. I was always for right to choose. I thought you should get the vaccine. I got both vaccines. I got the booster. I got COVID, but it wasn't bad. And I'm in an age category where I could have died. I'm here to talk about it because I was vaccinated and had the booster. So I'm for right to choose. I'd like to know who forced you to get the vaccine. Was it your job? Does your job have a right to tell you what to do when it comes to something like that? Yes. First of all, let's go back to the basic premise here. Here's the ridiculous nature of all this. Pregnancy is not contagious. I can't get pregnant standing next to somebody. I can get COVID standing next to somebody, or if somebody stands next to me. And when it comes to a communicable disease and public safety, there's a precedent for rules to be set. And if I'm not mistaken, the Supreme Court has supported this. So this is a false conservative talking point that should go nowhere, but it's getting a lot of volume. Because again, it's okay, we got them now. Yeah, if you're for right to choose, then what about the vax mandates? Well, again, you know the difference there. Pregnancy is not contagious. But the other thing is, did the government come to your house and tell you that you had to get the vaccination? No, the government didn't. Did you have to get it for your job? Okay. What else does your job make you do? Is there a dress code at work? Do you have to follow a dress code? Companies have the right to do certain things. If you work for the government, you had to get vaccines in many situations, but you don't have to work for the government. You don't have to work for the business that made you get the vaccine. You can quit. There were a hell of a lot of people that called my radio show on WWL and said they never got vaccinated. So the vax mandates were not really that strict in terms of you have to get the vaccination. You didn't have to. You had a choice. You had options. You were free to choose. Just like a woman should be free to choose when it comes to abortion up to a certain point. There's also a lot of hysteria about late term abortions. I don't have the statistics on this, but people are making it seem like they're just these babies are about to be born and they're pulling them out of the womb and killing them. That's not happening. There may be some cases where the mother's life is um, at stake, so a family makes a decision. The government shouldn't make that decision. That's a family decision. So, in this other thing about Roe v. Wade, listen to all the distraction, listen to the noise, because here's the problem. This could benefit Democrats. And God knows the Democrats need a hell of a lot of help in the midterms. They're probably still going to get slaughtered, but this could help Democrats. The premise that the Republicans want to take your rights away from you, one of them being the right to choose. That's going to scare a lot of people. In fact, the website vote.org says that nationally, voter registration is up 200% since this debate started. And most of those who are registering to vote right now are under 35, and a slight majority are women. So this may mean that a lot of people are being inspired to go to the polls to vote against Republicans. We don't know yet. We don't know how this is going to play out yet. But I love how conservatives are trying to distract the real issue. First, it was the leak. There were a lot of conservatives that were focusing on the leak, how bad the leak was. The leak was bad. That opinion draft should not have been leaked. First time it's ever happened in the history of the Supreme Court. That was wrong. Find out who did it and punish him if you can. But the leak is not the main issue. The main issue is what the leak was about. It's the same thing that Hillary Clinton did when her emails were leaked. She and the Democrats didn't focus on what was in the emails. They focused on the release, the leak of the emails. Okay, that might have been bad. That might have been even illegal. But what about the content in the emails? That's what they were avoiding talking about. And that's what many conservatives are avoiding talking about now when it comes to this new debate and this probability that the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe v. Wade. And that's another thing. I had people texting my show today saying, well, they're not really going to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's not really overturning this. They're going to give it back to the states. What the shit do you think that is? I mean, by giving it back to the states, you're essentially overturning Roe v. Wade. So there's all this distraction. And then there's the distraction of the protests. People protesting. Well, this is so bad. They should, okay. If any protest gets violent, That's wrong. I personally don't think, and I've said this on my radio show, I don't think protesters should be going to the homes of the Supreme Court justices and protesting. But people act as if that's the worst thing going on here, and they're not talking about what happens if Roe v. Wade is overturned. And yes, if the Supreme Court rules this way and sends it back to the states, it's going to be overturned. Now, I realize there's a constitutional amendment guaranteeing the right to keep and bear arms in America. But in theory, if conservatives argue, and again, I'm not talking about all conservatives. I'm talking about those of you who fit this category. When conservatives talk about the states should have the right to do this, leave it up to the states. And some states are going to have abortions legal. But what does that do for the woman here in New Orleans who's in the inner city? The 15, 16-year-old in the inner city that got pregnant by maybe questionable sex. And how is she going to get to California to have an abortion? You're going to pay for that? So it clearly isn't fair to say, oh, they can just go to another state. And then there are people that are very upset with companies like Amazon that say, if one of our employees, if this is overturned and one of our employees gets pregnant, we will pay for them to go have an abortion in a state where it's legal. Why is that any of your business? It's the business of the business and the employee. But, you know, this idea of giving the states the power to do this, in theory, what these people are going to argue also, what they would have to argue, unless they're just stupid hypocrites, is if a very blue state like California or Oregon or Washington State, if these liberal states decided that they wanted to ban guns in their state, why wouldn't they have the power to do that? I realize there's a constitutional amendment, but there's no constitutional amendment that prevents anybody from having an abortion. None. It's based on right to privacy. But if people are arguing that states should have all this power, then what if a state like California wanted to ban guns? People would be shouting and screaming, "You can't do that. There's the Supreme Court rulings, and there's the Second Amendment." And the Supreme Court continues to uphold the Second Amendment. So when incidents like this renewed debate of Roe v. Wade come up, it really does expose how thick political hypocrisy is in America. I'm Scoot. Thank you for being with me on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. And I hope you join me on my radio show, WWL New Orleans. You can go to WWL.com and listen live, stream the show, or you can download the app Odyssey, Audacy. That's Audacy. Download the Odyssey app and type in WWL, and you have us wherever you have your phone. In fact, I am in radio, and I don't have a radio. I listen to the station on my phone, and you can listen to any station you want to on your phone with the Odyssey app, Audacy. Well, any Odyssey station. And we've got a lot of stations with a lot of different formats. So anyway, I hope you join me. I'm on the air 1 to 4 Central Time, Monday through Friday.